Hello, my name is Lacey Horn, and I'm the CEO of Native Advisory. And for the last 7 years, we've been working with tribes and companies that work with tribes on financial challenges. And so, this world that I'm building here is really a space for folks to get together and have these conversations about the top financial challenges that we're facing as financial leaders. So, I've been in your shoes. I served 8 years as treasurer of the Cherokee Nation and created Native Advisory after I left there to be that company that I wished that I had, that resource, that source of support. I wish that I had that whenever I started at Cherokee and had an expert in my corner, had a team of experts in my corner that could just help me with anything and everything that came up on my to-do list. The other point here is to inspire each other. So, these conversations are all based upon the Cherokee beliefs that I grew up with my mother teaching us that everyone is here for a purpose. We all have a gift. We all have something special that we were put here on this planet to share, to do. And I am here to help inspire you, to encourage you. And I hope that you all can help inspire each other as well. So I'm just going to put a name to a lot of these issues that I'm seeing financial officers face right now. And I just want to talk about these with you all, but the number one issue that I'm seeing financial officers, tribal financial officers deal with is leadership. Leading a team is difficult in any capacity, right? And especially managing the finances, having all of the fiscal responsibility on your shoulders, that's a really big job. Then you have to manage up to leadership, right? And communicate and have these conversations about what it is that you're doing. And so, you're sort of managing in this, top, bottom capacity, and then you're also sort of managing outward to external resources that you have. So with your auditors, with your other consultants that you have, with partners that you may have. So, I mean, the responsibility for leadership in this capacity as a chief financial officer is huge because you're just juggling so many balls. You are, like I said, responsible for the fiscal health of your organization, as well as teams, as well as communicating. And there's just a lot of pressures there. And I know those because I've been through that myself. And I'm working with CFOs to help them with their leadership capacity. And so a lot of our conversations can sort of look like vents and rants and, sometimes just like getting things off their chest in a safe space where they can't really have those conversations with anyone else. And we also, do work on their org charts and job descriptions for folks that they need to put into positions. A lot of the teams that I work with are understaffed or they're under-resourced. And so, we fill in some of those gaps in certain circumstances. But what you do in this leadership capacity really matters. And building your leadership capacity always inures to your benefit because you're less stressed. You know how to handle things. We have a lot of our clients that are able to go to their leadership and command higher salaries because they're getting greater results, and they retain and attract and recruit great talent to come and work for them. So it just makes everyone's lives easier whenever you feel confident and capable in your own leadership capacity. The second issue is growth. So in the financial seat, everybody's coming to you, asking you for things. I like to try to find a way to say yes instead of no, but sometimes the financial resources aren't there for you to be able to do that. And a lot of our mandates that we hear from leadership is like, we'll find more ways to make money, right? Find more ways to save money. And that is exactly what we did at Cherokee Nation when we increased the budget from 600 million to 1.2 billion. Is we found all these ways to make money. We took all of our idle treasury cash that was making negative interest in the bank, and we found ways that that money could become a profit center. We found ways to save money on our insurance, our employee insurance, it was one of the biggest expenses in salaries and fringe that you carry is your benefits, your employee benefits. And so we found ways to not cut the benefits, but to create savings and create competitive opportunities for those vendors to get scrappy and pencil in various ways to help us save money and take that to our bottom line. We're always being tasked with economic development, and you would be shocked at the levels of fraudulent business opportunities that I've seen in Indian country. And so we've helped clients with doing the due diligence on these opportunities. And sometimes it pans out. The vast majority of times it is a complete sham and a scam, and running in the other direction and ghosting on the communications is really the best possible path for our tribes to take. And so economic development is always going to fall in your lap too, because they're going to say like, well, find us more ways to go out there and make money. A lot of folks are dealing with the ARPA spin down. So you're having conversations about your budget, right? Like budgets are not necessarily experiencing a great deal of growth right now because we are spending the final dollars as it relates to ARPA and closing that out. One of the biggest opportunities that I see for growth for tribes is the implementation of general welfare exclusion programs. And there's a lot of folks out there that are talking about this to tribes, and they're trying to make it way harder than it needs to be. And I know this because I served on the Treasury Tribal Advisory Committee. I helped to get the initial regulations out for comment period and have had a lot of conversations. I was responsible for implementing GWE programs at Cherokee Nation as well. So, if you have per cap programs or you're paying that out in a taxable way to tribes or to your tribal members, then it's really a perfect opportunity right now to explore how you can convert that over to GWE programs. And it's a great way to get some growth into your tribal economies because you're not paying federal and state taxes on that income to your tribal members. The next issue that I'm seeing rampantly is policies and procedures. So anything from a month-end close process to procurement overhauls. The OMB rules were updated in 2024 and 2025, really allowing for some wonderful pressure lifting in the procurement space. And so we've been doing a lot of work with tribes on that and helping them to, take small teams and make them really effective when it comes to procurement. Investments, there's a lot of changing opinions on investments at this point in time, and as well as just assets in general. So policies and procedures, if you've got some that are from, 2008, or you've got them from 2019 or 2022, high probability that there's a chance that those are outdated and need a refreshed look at them so that you make sure that you are, not adding on any additional burdens while also ensuring that you have internal controls and that your procedures are auditable and you're leveraging smaller teams when you have them. So, opportunities to look at policies and procedures often always result in a return on investment because you have made things simpler, easier to understand, and people are now trained on the new policies and procedures that are going to make everybody's lives easier. And then connection. I see this as a huge lack in Indian country is the lack of true connection. So we often wait for those tribal conferences and, see people and, meet vendors and subject matter experts. But I mean, it's a couple of days, it's a couple of hours, it's a week maybe where you're in an uncomfortable location and you don't really get to have those meaningful conversations. And maybe you exchange business cards, but you're never really going to follow up, and they never do either. And so I have found in our work that having this regular connection with others and experts like us, experts like the folks that we work with, those on my team, it is just night and day difference in taking your to-do list, your fire list that you have to put out, and keeping you not only accountable, but also lifting that burden of having to go through this all on my own and having to think about what's the solution. And I find that when our CFOs bring these concerns to us, that we're always able to help them rethink a path on dealing with those challenges in a way that makes things so much easier than what they had thought about it in their own mind. And so even me, when I was at Cherokee and I was CFO there, I had 120 employees. So, I mean, I had a whole lot of people that I could talk to. But what I really wanted was someone like me to go to. And so I'm like I said, living my path, living my gift, living my purpose that the Creator put me here for, is because I'm able to be that resource to CFOs like you all that need someone to talk to. You need to be able to say the thing that's going on in your mind or brainstorm that idea with absolutely no judgment whatsoever, but with someone who's 100% in your corner and wants you to succeed and get that result. The next issue is obviously technology. I mean, we are going through the biggest technological revolution that I think we've ever seen. And, everybody has an opinion on it. Obviously, the stock market's going wild with froth over technology right now. But there are some really wonderful automations, AI tools, systems that can help with your internal controls, systems that can help automate your month-end closes. And I intend to have an upcoming leadership circle conversation with a futurist who is going to come in and talk to us about how we can empower and enable humans in this new world of technology that we are experiencing and moving forward with at just an absolutely exponential pace. And so I know that a lot of folks aren't really comfortable with AI tools in certain respects. That's what we're helping our clients to do, is to get comfortable, to understand what they are, understand what the guardrails that they should have for their clients are, and to leverage that technology to help them save time and to save money. Of course, geopolitical, obviously, as the fiscal lead for your organization, you are drinking through the fire hose of everything that's changing all the time. So is my grant going to be there next year? Am I going to have to lay off all these employees, right? We've helped a lot of tribes with their contingency plans, with their HR contingency plans. Being inundated with a 24 news cycle, it's kind of hard to understand, what's going on and sort of cut through it. And so that's what we like to be for our clients, is that sort of, down the center, apolitical resource that just looks at things as black and white as we possibly can, as well as understanding the futures. I'm a student of financial futurism myself. And so, sort of understanding the trajectory of where we're going can really help to assuage concerns on the geopolitical concerns that we're always inundated with, as well as the local, right? So, I mean, tribes go through elections all the time. And so we're constantly having changeover in our leadership, and, how to deal with those transitions and how to advocate for yourself and your team during those transitions is a really important thing to do. And then the final thing is citizens and transparency, right? So in my mind, right, we're always living in a temporary reality. So, we're doing what we do at this point in time right now. And for you all, that is serving as the CFO for your organizations. And you are in those positions because it's obviously something that you saw, that you care about, but you also know that you have what is a limited window to be able to make the best possible decisions that you can. And I knew this whenever I was appointed treasurer at Cherokee. I knew that I at least had 4 years to really make a difference, to really make a lot of change. And that if I could make my chief look good, maybe he would get reelected for another 4 years. And then I would have another 4 years where I could make more of a difference. And so I'm a student. I invested in a lot of coaching myself during those 8 years from folks who both coached me formally as well as informally on the job. And so, I know that whenever I can give the keys of the kingdom and I can give the support to CFOs, that it helps them to make better decisions, so that when they're asked by their citizens, so that when they're asked by their leaders or their fellow elected officials, that they have a good reason for why they came to that decision. And history will always look back and say, well, what did you do at that moment in time? And we all are accountable to those answers and those questions. And so, and looking back at my 8 years at Cherokee, there were a lot of decisions being made, and I have a really good reason for every single thing that we did there, and really put in the work and the due diligence and sought the counsel that was necessary for me to be the best possible leader that I could be in that space. And when I did that, and I was able to prove those successes out, I went back to my boss and said, I'm ready for a raise. Like, I have proven myself here. And that's what we help our clients do too, is to create those successes, build those successes, and then become more valuable leaders that not only serves them today and potentially in a compensation increase, but also increases their value going forward. And so just to sort of put a wrap on these 7 points, any of this resonates or not, I mean, I'd love to hear from you. And sometimes it just helps just to hear it out loud. I think for me, sometimes I think things in my head, and I know, those that we work with, like they think things in their head, but it's like putting the vocabulary to what we're experiencing sometimes helps things, feel smaller and more manageable. And so I'm going to go into my next slide here, our signature offering, which is our CFO advisory services. And this is really where we can get on with you and get in there hands-on, one-on-one support from me and from my team. What this looks like is we usually meet weekly or every other week with our clients, and we do deep dives, and I laser coach you on everything that you're dealing with. And we create a roadmap and we work from that. And when crazy things happen, it's not so bad because we can just surround you with the support and we can deal with it. I have a template library. And so I have just a lot of resources that, you need a certain policy for something. We can take that out of the template library and we can just customize that so that you have something easy, ready to go. You get on my client only email blast. So when things happen, maybe something sudden comes out of Washington, D.C., I have an opinion on it. You're going to get that directly in your inbox. And then, as I said earlier, with our projects, they're done for you and done with you. We can take these things off your plate and just run with them. And then you just can take that pressure off of your team and know that your project is in the most capable hands, because these are things that, we've done for decades, not a problem, and it will come back perfect. I'm a perfectionist. Excellence is my North Star. I want to make sure that you're absolutely thrilled with it. And then you get dedicated project management and administrative support throughout. So you are completely staffed and surrounded. We make things as easy as possible on you. All you have to do is show up and help guide us. And we give you feedback, and then we come up with a solution and we move. And then you get my cell phone in your pocket, call or text, whatever you need, we are here. And so, the investment represents the cost of a senior level employee with salary and fringe typically. And then the projects are a variable charge on top of that, but it's a lesser cost than adding it on through the leadership circle. So rather than just getting one employee, then you're getting a native team with decades of hands-on experiences with tribes. So this is really an opportunity for our clients to get a huge return on investment. And I made a little list here of things that we've done. But, we consistently seek to provide between 5 and 10x the return on investment in both money and time that you invest in our services. And so just some recent wins have been, we helped a tribe generate $1.1 million in passive investment income. We helped a tribe save $2.3 million on expenses that they were already going to incur. We've successfully written grants totaling $130 million for tribes. And we've advised on deals that range from anywhere from $5 million to $150 million to $700 million. And so again, we want you to make a multiple on the investment that you pay us, and we help you make your money back and then some. And again, we're a 100% Native-owned company, Native woman-owned company. There's no one out there that's providing anything like this. And I'm happy to provide a sole source justification if you need it. With that being said, I stand behind the best. This is my gift. This is my team's gift. And I'd be happy to answer any questions, give you any more information, or get on a one-on-one call to talk. So I'll look forward to hearing from you soon.